Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV's digital platform. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you, and I hope that you're staying within the confines of your home, you're staying healthy, you're staying safe. I'll now get you an update on the global coronavirus pandemic situation. Across the world now, more than 1.2 million people have tested positive for coronavirus, and more than 69,000 people have died because of COVID-19. Chaos inside the United States is continuing. As you know, that the US is the worst affected country in terms of number of people who have been infected. In that country, more than 337,000 people now have tested positive. Over 9,700 people have died because of COVID-19. And on Sunday, the US saw 25,000 new cases being reported and 1,147 new deaths being reported. This is of course a huge number, but it was much better than what happened on Saturday. Saturday was the deadliest day. It saw more than 34,000 new cases being reported and 1,344 people dying because of COVID-19. Now, the US Surgeon General has now said that this week is going to be the hardest and the saddest for most Americans' lives. However, US President Donald Trump, in a press briefing yesterday, said that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Meanwhile, China is stepping in to help. It has now given 1,000 ventilators to New York City as donation. As you know, that New York City is the worst affected area in the United States. But yesterday, it saw cases dropping for the first time. Meanwhile, there's been some good news from Europe because as you know that Italy and Spain are the worst affected countries there, but the death rate in those countries are now slowing. It saw 500 new fatalities in 24 hours. Remember, this is the worst affected country in terms of number of people who have died. More than 16,000 people have died in Italy, and close to 1,30,000 cases have been reported. But the death rate is now declining in that country. As you know that Italy has already entered more than 4 weeks of lockdown. And Spain also on Sunday saw a lesser death rate. Only 674 people died in Spain yesterday. Meanwhile, as far as UK is concerned, the mood is somber in that country. Britain's Queen, in a rare televised address yesterday, called for national unity, and she also offered reassurance. Now, this came even as the Prime Minister of that country, Boris Johnson, remember, has tested positive for coronavirus, and he was admitted in hospital yesterday for tests because he continues to show symptoms of coronavirus. So he has still not recovered. Meanwhile, news from the Middle East, where, as you know, that Iran emerged as the epicenter of a coronavirus outbreak in Middle East in the month of March, but it is still not showing any improvement. In fact, the number of cases are still high in that country. In 24 hours, it saw more than 2,483 new cases. However, the president of that country is saying that foreign media is actually exaggerating the issue, and he says that in fact some of the restrictions are going to be lifted this week as well. In fact, and yesterday, Singapore also saw highest spike in cases. Yesterday, it saw 120 new cases. The country total has about 1,300 cases, and it has 6 deaths. News from South Korea. Now, the country has now witnessed new cases dropping to its lowest level in more than 6 weeks. And the government, however, is saying that it is going to monitor this very, very closely, and it is too early to say if there is this downward trend. In fact, the Prime Minister of that country, Chung Si-kyun, has said that the daily number of cases need to remain under 50 for the government to actually consider an end to the social distancing campaign. In fact, the country has extended its social distancing campaign until 19th of April. You know, South Korea is one of the nations who have been actually being praised worldwide because of its aggressive approach to tracing, to testing, and in fact, it is being considered one of the role model countries on how to handle coronavirus crisis. The country has more than 10,000 cases, but only 186 deaths have been reported in that country. Meanwhile, Focus continues to remain on Japan, where the daily number of cases have doubled in 1 week, and there's a lot of pressure on the government to declare some sort of measures, because so far Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has not declared any emergency or a lockdown, but because the cases are increasing, there is going to be a meeting today that Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is holding, and after that meeting, it is expected that he will declare a state of emergency in the country. Meanwhile, as far as Australia is concerned, Sydney is closing more beaches, and this happened after a lot of people really congregated on the beaches over the weekend, and as a result, Sydney is now closing more of its beaches. Meanwhile, China is returning to normal life. Only 39 new cases were reported on Sunday, and only one death was reported. Meanwhile, the oil prices are sliding. They have dropped, and this happened after this meeting was supposed to be held between Saudi Arabia and Russia, but it was postponed, and the two countries are talking to reach a deal about rate cut. Because the pandemic, global coronavirus pandemic has actually hit demand, and the two countries have now been locked in this battle for almost 1 month now, because traders are concerned that since large parts of the world are under lockdown and there is lesser of demand, and there is going to be too much crude available, which is going to put pressure on the oil prices. These were all the updates related to coronavirus pandemic. Thanks so much for watching.